Bhante ji.
Okay. Okay, Rohit, fine. Okay, we'll start. नमो तस्सा भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा संबुद्धस्सा। नमो तस्सा भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा संबुद्धस्सा। नमो तस्सा भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा संबुद्धस्सा। इतिपिसो भगवारहं सम्मा संबुद्धो विद्याचरण संपन्नो सुगतो लोकविदु अनुत्तरो पुरिसधम्म सारथि सत्ता देव मनुष्याणां बुद्धो भगवाति। नमो तस्स सम्मा संबुद्धस्सा। ये च बुद्धा अतीता च ये च बुद्धा अनागता पच्युत्पन्ना च ये बुद्धा अहं वन्दामि सर्वदा नत्ति मे शरणं गण्यं बुद्धो मे शरणं वरम् एतेन सच्चवज्जेन होतु मे जयमङ्गलम् उत्तमङ्गेन वन्देऽहं पादपंसो वरुत्तमं बुद्धेयो कलितो दोषो बुद्धो कमतु तं मम बुद्धं यावनिब्बान पर्यन्तं शरणं गच्छामि। स्वाकातो भगवता धम्मो संदिटिको अकालिको एहि पश्चिको अपनायको पच्छत्तं वेदितव्यो विन्नोहीति। नमो तस्स नियानिकस्स धम्मस्सा। ये च धम्मा अतीता च ये च धम्मा अनागता पच्युत्पन्ना च ये धम्मा अहं वन्दामि सर्वदा नत्ति मे शरणं अन्यं धम्मो मे शरणं वरं एतेन सच्चवज्जेन होतु मे जयमङ्गलम् उत्तमङ्गेन वन्देऽहं धम्मं च त्रिदुत्तमं धम्मे यो कलितो दोषो धम्मो कमतु तं मम धम्मं यावनिब्बानपर्यन्तं शरणं गच्छामि। सुपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावकसंगो जुपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावकसंगो न्यायपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावकसंगो सामीचिपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावकसंगो यदिदं चत्तारि पुरुषयुगानि अट्टपुरुषपुग्गल एषा भगवतो सावकसंगो आहुनेयो पाहुनेयो दक्षिणेयो अंजलिकरणीयो अनुत्तरं पुण्यकेतं लोकसाति। नमो तस्स अट्ट आर्य पुग्गला महासंगसा। ये च संगा अतीता च ये च संगा अनागता पच्युत्पन्ना च ये संगा अहं वन्दामि सर्वदा नत्ति मे शरणं अन्यं संघो मे शरणं वरं एतेन सच्चवज्जेन होतु मे जयमङ्गलम् उत्तमङ्गेन वन्देऽहं संगं च त्रिविदुत्तमं संगेयो कलितो दोषो संगो कमतु तं मम संगं यावनिब्बानपर्यन्तं शरणं गच्छामि। विपत्ति पटिवाहाय सब्बसम्पत्तिसिद्धिय सब्बदुःखं विनाशाय सब्बभयं विनाशाय सब्बरोगं विनाशाय भवेदीगायुकदायक सब्बलोकं हितत्ताय परित्तं तं वनामहे समन्ता चक्रवालेषु अत्रा गच्छन्तु देवता तद्धम्मं मुनिराजसा सुनन्तु सग्गमोक्तदं धम्मश्रवण कालो अयं बदन्ता धम्मश्रवण कालो अयं बदन्ता परित्तश्रवण कालो अयं बदन्ता। नमो तस्स भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा संबुद्धस्सा। यानि दभूतानि समागतानि बुम्मानि वायानि व अन्तरिक्षे सब्बेव भूता सुमना भवन्तु अतोपि सकृच्च सुनन्तु भासितं तस्मा हि भूतानि समेत सब्बे मेत्तं करोत मानुषीयापजाय दिवाचरत्तो च हरन्ति ये बलिं तस्मा हि नेरक्कत अपमत्ता यं किञ्चिवित्तं इदवाहुरं वा सज्ञेषु वायं रतनं पणीतं ननो समं अत्ति तथागतेन इदंपि बुद्धे रतनं पणीतं एतेन सच्चेन सुवत्ति होतु कयं विरागं गमतं पणीतं यदज्जगा सख्यमुनि समाहितो न तेन धम्मेन समत्ति किंचि इदंपि धम्मे रतनं पणीतं एतेन सच्चेन सुवत्ति होतु यं बुद्धसेट्टो परिवर्णयि शुचिं समाधिमानन्तरिकन्यमाहुं समाधिनाथेन समो न विज्जति इदंपि धम्मे रतनं पणीतं एतेन सच्चेन सुवत्ति होतु ये पुग्गला अट्टशतं पसत्ता चत्तारि एतानि युगानि होन्ति ते दक्खिनैया सुगतस्य सावकाये ते सुदिन्नानि महप्फलानि इदम्पि संगे रतनं पणीतं एतेन सच्चेन सुवत्ति होतु ये सुप्पयुक्ता मनसा दलेना निक्कामिनो गोतमसासनं ते पत्तिपत्ता अमतं विगाया लद्दा मुदा निभृतिं गुञ्जमाना इदम्पि संगे रतनं पणीतं एतेन सच्चेन सुवत्ति होतु यतीन्द्रकीलो पटविंसितोऽसि या चतुब्बिवाते हि असम्पकम्पि यो ततूपमं सत्पुरुषं वदामि यो अर्यसच्चानि अवेच्च पश्यति इदम्पि संगे रतनं पणीतं एतेन सच्चेन सुवत्ति होतु ये अर्यसच्चानि विभावयन्ति गम्भीरपन्नेन सुदेशितानि किंचापि ते हन्ति भूसप्पमत्ता न ते भवं अट्टमं आदियन्ति इदम्पि संगे रतनं पणीतं एतेन सच्चेन सुवत्ति होतु सहावत्सदस्सन संपदाया तयस्सु धम्मा जहिता भवन्ति सक्काय दिट्ठि विचिकित्सितं च सीलब्बतं वापि यदत्ति किंचि चतुहपाये च विप्पमुत्तो चाभितानानि अबभ्वकातुम् इदम्पि संगे रतनं पणीतं एतेन सच्चेन सुवत्ति होतु किंचापि शोकं करोति पापकं कायेन वाचा उदचेतसा वा अबब्बसोतस्य पठिच्चदाय अबब्बथादिट्टपदस्य उत्ता इदम्पि संगे रतनं पणीतं एतेन सच्चेन सुवत्ति होतु वनप्पगुम्बे यथा पुस्सितज्ञे गिम्हानमासे पटमस्मिन् गिम्हे ततूपमं धम्मवरं अदेशयि निब्बानगामिं परमं हिताय इदम्पि बुद्धे रतनं पणीतं एतेन सच्चेन सुवत्ति होतु वरो वरण्यो वरदो वराहरो अनुत्तरो धम्मवरं अदेशयि इदम्पि बुद्धे रतनं पणीतं एतेन सच्चेन सुवत्ति होतु कीणं पुराणं नवनत्ति संभवं विरक्तचित्त आयतिके भवस्मि ते कीर्णबीजा अविरुल्लिच्छन्दा निब्बन्ति धीरा यतयं पदीपो इदम्पि संगे रतनं पणीतं एतेन सच्चेन सुवत्ति होतु यानीदभूतानि समागतानि बुम्मानि वायानि व अन्तलिख्ये तथागतं देवमनुष्यपूजितं बुद्धं नमस्साम सुवत्ति होतु यानीदभूतानि समागतानि बुम्मानि वायानि व अन्तलिख्ये तथागतं देवमनुष्यपूजितं धम्मं नमस्साम सुवत्ति होतु यानीदभूतानि समागतानि बुम्मानि वायानि वान्तलिख्ये तथागतं देवमनुष्यपूजितं संगं नमस्साम सुवत्ति होतु एतेन सच्चवज्जेन सोतिनो होतु सब्बदा एतेन सच्चवज्जेन होतु नो जयमङ्गलम् एतेन सच्चवज्जेन पातु नो रतनत्रयं नमो तस्स भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा सम्बुद्धस्स सभितियो विभज्यन्तु सब्बरोगो विनश्यतु माते भवतन्तरायो सुखी दीर्घायुको भवतु सब्बमङ्गलं रक्षन्तु सब्बदेवता सब्बबुद्धानुभावेन सब्बधम्मानुभावेन सब्बसङ्घानुभावेन सदा सोत्ति भवन्तु ते इमिना पुण्याकम्मेन मामे बालसमागमो शतं समागमो होतु यावनिब्बानपत्या इदं मे पुण्याकम्मं आसवक्तयं वहं होतु सब्बदुःखापमुच्यतु निब्बान संपच्चयो होतु साधु 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 साधु. So again today's chanting, it's Ratana Sutta. Ratana means like the gems. What are the gems? Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. It's three Ratana, three gems, triple gem. So this Ratana Sutta is all about uh, glorifying or remembering the glory of these three Ratanas, Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. And this is most authoritative, say, discourse or sutra that will inflict the true faith, the right faith. Because in this sutta, a strong message of universal love, loving kindness, benevolence, compassion is highlighted, is enforced on all the beings. Sabbeva bhuta smana bhavan. So all the beings, with good mind. You should listen this. That means all terrestrial beings, celestial beings, all the beings, there is a strong message of loving kindness. You should take care of each other, one another. You should not keep any kind of ill will or grudge on one another. That is one strong message. So for that, you should follow the path of Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. Then automatically your mind will be full of this loving kindness. Is full of this concern, compassion to all the life. Then automatically you will be protected and everybody will be protected. So that's what is the message of this Pratana Sutta. So this is so strong, so powerful, and so say influential on all the beings. So it worked in several places. The very first time when it was say given by Buddha and his chief attendant Ananda, it had a tremendous impact on the people, on the beings in that particular area, that is Vaishali in present day Bihar. And they were free from lot of disease, lot of affliction, lot of famine, drought, all these issues they were taken care of. So here again, one should understand the power of mind, the power of the purity of mind, the power of the importance of cultivating the mind. Everybody now, they are simply worried with how to accumulate wealth and simply how to take care of physical requirements, not only taking care of requirements of the body, simply glorifying the body, glorifying the sensual pleasures. That's what is happening now. So when this is called evil, when too much emphasis is given to the body and sensual pleasures, then the evil starts in the world. Then the catastrophes start. Then the imbalance starts. Then the problems in the form of health, happiness, famine, drought, all these things start. When too much emphasis is given to my bodily pleasures, my sense pleasures, that's what is selfishness. That's what is imbalance. I don't say it as selfishness. It is ignorance. And that is what is the cause of imbalance. If you forget about the mind, the happiness after this life also, if you forget these things, then you don't work on the mind. You don't calm down the mind. You don't purify the mind. Because the body will be lost in this life itself. Next life, your mind will be carried there. If you want to get a good body, or if you want to have peace of mind, if you want to have happiness, mind is the main thing that one should work upon, one should focus. Even for this life also, the mind, the balanced mind is useful, is very, very important to come out of lot of stress, lot of irritation, lot of anxiety, lot of worry, and mind-based bodily diseases you can avoid. In addition to that, the life after this life, after this, the next life also, afterlife also, if it has to be happy, then the only thing is working on the mind. Working on the mind means purifying the mind, calming down the mind, balancing the mind. If that is not done, if people are not interested, majority of the people are simply get trapped in this materialistic, say, welfare, or get carried away by this rat race of sensual pleasures, materialistic welfare, then the catastrophes will start to teach a lesson to the people. That's what happened during Buddha's time also in Vaishali. So then, by emphasizing the importance of purifying the mind, they were also very intelligent people, Vaishali people. They were also very wealthy people. But they have lost this balance. They were not working on their mind. Simply, they were using their intelligence to gain the materialistic things and accumulate wealth and take care of the worldly pleasures, sense pleasures. So to teach them a lesson, the earth, the nature, it will come out with this kind of catastrophes, this kind of diseases, endemics, epidemics, pandemics. drought, tsunamis, earthquakes, all these things will happen. During that time, it was endemic and the drought. So by teaching them the importance of mind cultivation, purification of the mind, then and authoritatively say streamlining their focus, their attention towards liberation, towards mind cultivation, the balance has achieved. So though the people they started getting the balance in the nature also, and they were taken care of by the beings who are taking care of the nature, like the divine beings or all other beings who are responsible for the balance of the nature. They started showing concern, care for those Vaishalians, Vaishali people, and they become happy again. The same situation even now, this pandemic situation, when the world is going too much into this materialistic things, sense pleasures, worldly pleasures, ignoring the mind, ignoring developing the mind, ignoring this concern of say the refeeling and empathizing with others' worries, others' difficulties, and helping them as much as possible. If that kind of say good minds are not there in the world, then the world will teach a lesson. The existence will teach a lesson. So, keeping this as the main reason, I have chanted again this Ratana Sutta to inflict this absolute, say, faith, absolute confidence in the path of mind purification, in the path of mind liberation, balancing the different faculties of the mind by understanding them through different meditations, right view meditations, right view mind culture. If we work on this, then automatically we can take care of our body in a holistic way. Sustainable development also will happen. The worldly pleasures also definitely will get in a more sustainable way, in a more balanced way, not at the cost of the mind, not at the cost of the mental peace. Mental peace also will be there, physical comforts also will be there. That is the beauty of this right faith in liberation, in mind purification, in mind cultivation. So Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, they authoritatively represent this mind purification, mind cultivation. So that's what is highlighted in this Ratana Sutta. So I thought of chanting this again because we are facing this pandemic, though the people are saying it's becoming endemic, but still we are in this transition phase. So I thought of chanting this again so that at least those who are listening to this, if you can understand and appreciate and work on this, it's good enough. Slowly, slowly it can spread to other parts, and other people also get some idea about this. At least let us understand the importance of this mind cultivation and how it has an impact on the entire world also. If we chant regularly, authoritative, complete conviction in this, then definitely it will protect us, and definitely it will have some impact on the world also. So keeping these two reasons in the mind, we have chanted this Ratana Sutta today. The meaning of this Ratana Sutta, those things sometime back we discussed. So it's all about the importance of loving kindness, mutual care, and more than that, so the importance of mind cultivation, importance of purifying the mind, and that is possible by having strong, very committed, very say strong faith, committed devotion in the teachings of Buddha. Almost all teaching, each and every word of Buddha is about freeing the mind, is about balancing the mind, is about cultivating the mind. So because of this reason, we just started understanding the glory, the greatness of the person Buddha, his teachings, and his community by following Buddha, how they become liberated. Remembering this, definitely we develop a lot of conviction in our mind purification and its impact on our health, our happiness, and also on the world. We develop strong faith, strong conviction, strong confidence. So that is what is the summary of this Ratana Sutta. So that is the first part of our discourse, our talk about the right faith. So before going for right understanding about mind and right cultivation of the mind, we should have this right faith also. If there is right faith in whatever we are learning, whatever we are doing, then definitely our learning, our doing becomes very, very effective, very, very useful, very, very beneficial. A lot of confidence will come in whatever we are learning. So keeping this as the main reason, all our discourses, under discourses, we start with this kind of chanting and knowing about the meaning of that particular discourse, so that it will inflict faith in us, the right faith in us, about the right view cultivation of our mind and liberating. So because of that reason, we have chanted this. And now we will take up our discussion on understanding this non-greed, non-hatred, and non-delusion. You might have heard of this greed, hatred, and delusion. This, the opposite of this greed, hatred, and delusion is non-greed, non-hatred, and non-delusion. So this greed, hatred, and delusion, let us understand for some 5 minutes. Then we will go for this non-greed, non-hatred, and non-delusion. These three things, the greed, hatred, and delusion, they are considered as the deep-rooted defilements of the mind. One should learn how to identify, how to trace these defilements in our own mind through our thought processes. These defilements, they show their presence. If you follow, if you understand, if you observe our thought processes in our mind, and we can be able to catch these three defilements. We can able to note and catch these three defilements. Then slowly using the different techniques that you are learning, we can able to fix these defilements. And the direct opposites of these three defilements, the non-greed, non-hatred, and non-delusion. If you understand these three opposites of these three defilements, greed, hatred, and delusion, then fixing greed, hatred, and delusion becomes easy. And if this actually Buddha's teachings, Buddhism is all about knowing these three defilements and fixing them and completely eradicating them from the mind. That is actually the mission of all the followers of Buddha, all the followers of this right view meditation or right view path. That's what is actually the mission, the purpose, the goal of mind purification. What is the meaning of purification? Removing something that is dirty. Something, say, dust or dirt is there. If you clean it, if you remove it, then it is called purification. You are purifying it. What is mind purification? In the mind there are stains. There are minds. There are in the mind there are some dirts or some defilements. Those dirts are called defilements. When it comes to the mind, the stains or the dirts of the mind are called defilements. And these three are the three defilements: greed, hatred, and delusion. They are the major stains of the mind. If you learn and understand and know the techniques, the ways and means to remove them, to completely eradicate them, then you are working on your mind, you are purifying your mind, you are cultivating your mind. So these three opposites, they also, if we correctly understand, will help us to fix this greed, hatred, and delusion. As I used to say, if you keep on pouring the fresh water on dirty water, the dirty water will go away. The same way, if you understand this non-greed, non-hatred, and non-delusion, keep on multiplying, keep on say
Namaste, Banteji. Sorry to interrupt. Your voice went on mute, Banteji.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
So this greed, hatred, and delusion. So why they are considered as the three major defilements. Even in, in Tibetan, in all say Buddhist sects or Buddhist divisions. So these three things say they're highlighted, and a lot of emphasis is given how to know them and how to fix them by its opposites: non-greed, non-hatred, and non-delusion. Some of you might have seen there's something called the Bhavachakra pictures, the world cycle pictures in Tibetan Buddhism. There they depict one hen, one snake, and one pig. They catch the tail of one another. Hen catching the tail of snake, snake catching the tail of pig, pig catching the tail of hen, something like that in a circular shape. You might have observed hen, snake, pig catching one another's tail. So that is in the core of that world cycle. The world cycle starts with these three defilements. The greed, actually it is represented by hen. Hen represents the greed, always pecking something greedily. That is the nature of the hen. So it is. So it represents the greed, and then the snake represents the hatred. The anger and hatred is represented by the snake, and the pig represents the delusion. And the beauty of this picture is catching one another's tail. What does it represent? If you catch hold of one, like your hen, then automatically, because it is catching the tail of the snake, the greed also will follow. Because the snake is catching the tail of pig, the delusion also follow. So if you catch hold of one thing, the other two also, all the three will follow you. That's what is the power of these defilements. Somehow they are so closely associated. So it's like greed and hatred. It's because of both of them are because of delusion, let us say. It's there like the waves. If there is an up in the wave, there is also followed by it, always followed by a low also. So in that way, when there is delusion, when there is ignorance, automatically this greed and hatred, they simply start playing in our mind. They start destroying our mind, destroying our life. So that's why even in dependent origination, avidya pachaya sankara, from ignorance only, all other problems will start. And from there, vedana pachaya tanaha, even the greed will start. And of course, when the greed is there, automatically, the fall is also there. The hatred also will automatically start like a wave. The crust and trough. When there is a crust, automatically the trough also will be there. When there is liking, automatically disliking also will start. When there is attachment, automatically detachment. Resistance also will start. When there is strong acceptance, strong attachment, resistance also will start to something else. So the greed, hatred, and delusion, if we correctly understand how they are interrelated, how they influence our decisions, how they influence our happiness, our health, then a lot of understanding, a lot of insights we will get. And a lot of wisdom, skillfulness to note these defilements and how to fix them. That also we will learn by understanding, just by understanding these three major defilements: greed, hatred, and delusion. And the opposites we will learn. So just for a few minutes, we have learned about this greed, hatred, and delusion, how they are interrelated. So in your greed, all kinds of attachment. Your greed for essential things, greed for your ego inflation, greed for your power, greed for wealth, greed for everything, all kinds of sensual pleasure, lust, uh, greed for food, greed for anything, any attachment, any craving, it comes under greed. Any strong desire which you can't say conquer, from which you can't come out. So that kind of desire, that kind of craving, that kind of attachment is greed. Hatred means like all kinds of resistance, all kinds of irritation, anger, starting from irritation in the mind to anger to hatred, ill will, animosity, grudge, revengefulness. All these things will come under this category of hatred. Dosa, dvesha, lobha is greed. This lobha, all these things, lust, strong desires, cravings, attachment, strong love also, strong bonding, all these things will come from which you can't come out of. And in dosa or dvesha or in the group of hatred, all these resisting forces of the mind, like don't like, if something irritates me, I'm angry of something, I hate, all these kinds of feelings, ill will, strong ill will, animosity, grudge, revenge, jealousy, all these things will come under this category of dvesha or dosa or hatred group. And in delusion, not knowingness, confusion, doubt, what is right, what is wrong, some confusion, or knowing the things in an opposite way, dullness, laziness, sleepiness, all these things will come under this group of delusion. So these things, some of you may be aware of it. Now we will see the opposites of this: non-greed, non-hatred, non-delusion. Then you will understand about the importance of developing these three things and how they fix these three major defilements, and how this kind of developing these three, non-greed, non-hatred, non-delusion, will lead to the mind purification, mind liberation. So these things we will see today. So in Abhidhamma, they discuss so much about this. These factors, they are called mental factors. These three are major mental factors. This non-greed, non-hatred, non-delusion, they come under what is called the wholesome mental factors. In the mind, there are both say unwholesome mental factors. At the same time, there are wholesome mental factors also. So the wholesome mental factors, we have to discuss now. The unwholesome mental factors, the three unwholesome mental factors, your lobha, dosa, moha, that I have explained a little bit now. Now we will see the opposite of it, the wholesome mental factors. They are alobha, adosa, and amoha. Non-greed, non-hatred, non-delusion. So now, what is this alobha? What is this adosa? What is this amoha? That we will see now. So lobha means like wanting something. Alobha means the opposite is giving. What best I can give, what best I can let go, I can just pass on. Instead of simply expecting something, how I can give, what is my ability, what best I can give. Give to whom? Give to that altruistic mind, give to the people around me. So that is what is alobha. Dana or generosity is implied thereby. In this word alobha, your generosity, the generous mind is your alobha mind. It involves active altruism, the concern to say serve, the concern to help, the concern, your compassion, your loving kindness. When it becomes action, when you want to make it an action, then you have what is called alobha. Then you have what is called that generous mind. It is one of the three roots of good. So it's a wholesome factor. It's a good factor of the mind. Just like in the unwholesome factors, this lobha, dosa, moha, this greed, hatred, and delusion, they dominate the mind. And its different, say, offshoots like jealousy, like attachment, like lust, passion, sensuality, like say desire, too much desire for the sensual objects, any kind, for hearing, for tasting, for smelling, for touching, different kinds of attachments, sensual attachments, ego attachments, all these things come under the group of greed. So in the same way, the opposite in alobha, non-greed, different kinds of giving, different kinds of letting go, different kinds of serving, different kinds of helping. So all those things come under this alobha group. It is non-adhesion. You feel it's burden. Something is becoming too much, whatever it is, whatever sensual requirements or ego requirements. If you find it a little burdensome, many people they may not feel it burdensome, though it is a burden. So if you are sensitive, you find something beyond our requirement, our basic requirement for the body, for our existence. You feel it as a burden. Then you want to just get it off, just give it up. That kind of non-adhesive nature, you don't want to get adhere to it. That adhesiveness will not be there in the mind. Just let go it, just give it up. So that kind of non-adhesiveness is alobha. You don't want to hold on to it. You don't want to burden yourself. You simply unburden it, unwind it, let go it. That is what is alobha. Then what is adosa? Dvesha. Dvesha in Pali it is called dosa. So the opposite is adosa, where there is no hatred, where there is no ill will, where there is no anger. That is called adosa. So it is the opposite of dosa, of course. It is not mere absence of hatred or aversion, but is a positive virtue. It is not just absence of anger. The opposite is like loving kindness. So when the anger is there, then the hatred is there. Well, so you just letting go of anger. When the anger has been removed from the mind, then automatically the dosa will start generating in your mind. You'll start feeling say that friendliness with an enemy. You have hatred. When he becomes a non-enemy, when that enmity is removed towards that person, then you start automatically the heart will start generating what is called the mind starts generating the feeling of friendliness towards that person. Then when it becomes more active, then it will take up. It will then you start say some actions also. That feeling becomes action. It's a positive virtue. Adosa is synonymous with metta, loving kindness. So once the enmity is gone, automatically the loving kindness will spring out from your mind. So, like an agreeable friend, absence of churlishness or coarseness is its chief characteristic. Churlishness or coarseness means, what does it mean? With a person, you don't have any kind of irritation or resistance or some kind of say discomfort. You don't feel the discomfort with a person. Then you have what is called that adosa feeling towards that person. Many people nowadays, I have seen even the youngsters, they can't tolerate themselves. They have dosa for themselves. But self-love also is absent. So your adosa should start with oneself. You should be comfortable with yourself. You should start appreciating yourself. So that kind of being comfort with the person. That churlishness is not there. That coarseness is not there. That comfort is there. Then it is adosa. That is what is friendliness. That is what is goodwill or benevolence. So that kind of benevolence, goodwill is the characteristic, the nature of this non-hatred. Of course, by practicing the meditation. Of course, even the equanimity meditations, the awareness meditations, the confidence building meditations. If you're confident of yourself, then automatically you don't hate others, because your goal, your confidence, you're using for your goal and your progress. Then automatically you don't hate the people around. You're busy with your own work. And true understanding is there. Again, you don't hate others. That way, knowing these four components of the mind, developing them, automatically they contribute to the development of adosa, non-hatred, and aloba. Of course, it will help you indirectly. Directly, it will affect your dosa. Indirectly, it will affect your loba and develop this aloba, and it will directly affect dosa, develop adosa. Now coming to this amoha. What is amoha or non-delusion? Moha means delusion. Amoha means non-delusion. So what is this amoha or non-delusion? So amoha means like there is no say doubt. There is no say uh, um, confusion in the mind. There is no um, a disturbance or dullness or laziness in the mind. That is what is amoha. So you can call it as panya, wisdom. Panya or wisdom. So you can, it's one more synonym for this amoha. Panya, if you have panya, clarity about what is right, what is wrong, what is beneficial, what is not beneficial, what is the path towards happiness, what is the path towards suffering, what is suffering and what is the path, what is the path towards suffering, what is happiness, what is the path, what is the cause for happiness and liberation and purity and true happiness, true peace of mind. That kind of clarity, if you have, then you have panya or amoha. So in that way, you can better know some synonyms also, the equivalents also. So amoha means panya or wisdom, non-delusion. Adosa means loving kindness, benevolence, goodwill, metta. So aloba means non-greed, generosity, generous mind, giving mind, caring mind, serving mind. That is aloba. In that way, you can remember the definition, the synonyms of these three major wholesome factors of the mind: aloba, adosa, and amoha. By cultivating, developing them, how the three major defilements of mind, it can be fixed. That is our purpose of discussing these three wholesome factors of the mind. Aloba has the characteristic of non-adhesion, not sticking like a drop of water on a lotus leaf. On a lotus leaf, you might have seen, like if there are some drops of water, it won't stick onto the lotus because of the waxy layer on the lotus leaf. The drop of water will fall down. The same way, if your mind is full of this aloba, nothing will stick onto it. Everything you may get, but you won't get attached. You may be having lot of possessions, all kinds of worldly possessions, but still you'll be like a trustee, you'll be like a steward, you will just take care of it and you won't get stick onto it. You won't develop any attachment, develop any greed and attachment. That kind of nature is aloba. Just like the water drop on a lotus leaf. The adosa, it will avoid, it will suppress annoyance, any kind of irritation, annoyance, or feverishness. You might have observed in presence of some people whom you don't like, you feel feverish, you get annoyed. So that kind of feverishness, annoyance is because of your irritation, your disliking towards that person. That is what is dosa, that is what is dvesha. You just take care of your mind. If you are developing this kind of feverishness or annoyance or irritation or disliking in your mind, then you are developing this defilement in the mind. So to come out of this defilement, one has to develop what is called adosa or non-hatred, which is like feeling, say, loving kindness. Just having, after all, he is like me. Naturally, he too will have his own weaknesses. I just let go. Let him be happy, healthy, and peaceful. That kind of feeling, if you have, that is what is adosa. Its manifestation is loveliness, like the full moon. If you see the full moon, everybody will get some kind of inner joy, some kind of peace in the mind. That very brightness of the full moon, it gives some kind of say, it inflates our inner joy. We get opened up, our hearts will open up. So that is the nature of a person who is having this loving kindness. By with his mere appearance, his concern for other beings, his true feeling for the happiness of other beings. By just looking at him, we feel some kind of that rejoice, that joyfulness. So that kind of full moon, say, loveliness is what is the manifestation of this adosa, this loving kindness, or this friendliness. Amoha is, of course, wisdom. So all kind of selfish, the taint of selfishness can be removed by aloba. The taint of impurity, dushila, that can be removed by adosa. And then amoha can be removed by your, you will balance everything in the life in a wonderful way. If you have amoha, if you have wisdom, you will learn the art of balancing between body and mind, bodily comforts and the mental comforts, good of the concern for me and concern for others. You will efficiently, skillfully balance. That is the beauty, that is the characteristic of amoha. A wise person is skillful in balancing. You will not be carried away by any extreme and get disturbed, go off track. That is not possible with a person who is having this wisdom or amoha or non-delusion. And then how the people with the aloba and alosa, non-greed, non-hatred, and non-delusion, they behave. The person with aloba, through aloba, what is in excess is not taken. A lobi person, a greedy person, he takes what is not required too much, but still he expects too much. So that is the characteristic of aloba. That is, loba. Well, the characteristic of aloba means like he won't expect. Loba means he expects too much. And adosa means like is not less is taken, for the hateful take what is less. You see, the hateful people and the people who are having this loving kindness. If somebody offers something, a hateful person, he gets irritated, he takes less, he resists it. It's because of maybe the proudness or ego or some kind of resentment. But a person without that hatefulness, without that hatred in the mind, that adosa person or that loving person, he takes. Acceptance is one of the qualities of a loving person. Non-acceptance is the quality of hateful person. So taking less is also not a good virtue. Taking whatever is offered, taking whatever is required, say with the permission or with the proper conditions, when all the conditions are favorable, accepting and taking is the quality of a loving person, non-hateful person. So this intricacies, please understand. That is the reason why I selected this topic. In your mind, if you develop some kind of resistance or the feeling of non-acceptance, then you remember that, oh, now my mind is having some hateful thoughts. This hatred, this dosa defilement is dominating my mind. When all the conditions are favorable, when something is offered, and something I have to take, my body is expecting something and I want something. If I ask also, no problem, let me ask and take. In that kind of balanced mind is there, then there is no hateful mind. Then there is no dosa, defilement of dosa in one. Many people, they resist out of ego, out of, say, show off, out of hypocrisy. Then you can think that there is this defilement of dosa, defilement of hatred in my mind. So if I want to come out of this, let me accept. When something is offered, when something is needed, let me accept. That kind of attitude one should have. Then you are working on your defilement of hatred. The deluded people, the people with moha, they take what is perverted. They take what is not required. They neither hate nor they say breed for something, but they take what is not required. That is what is called perverted. So pervertedly they think and they take what is not required, and they end up in lot of problems. And a person with amoha, he accepts, he takes what is unperverted, what is required. He correctly judges, he correctly measures what is required, what is not required, and he correctly takes. That kind of wisdom is amoha. That is the nature of a person who is having this quality, this mental factor of non-delusion. And the person with alobha, he admits his mistakes. A lobby, he wants to cover it. A person with the greed, he wants to cover his mistakes. Whereas a person with the alobha, he manifests a fault, whatever fault he has committed, he manifests it, he expresses it, and he admits it. That's why the confessions, admitting the faults, is very, very important to come out of this defilement of lobha. If you are having that greedy nature, attachment nature, craving nature, such people, they try to cover it, they try to hide it. They become hypocrite. Hypocrisy is one of the characteristics of the greedy people. So if you want to come out of this defilement, then admitting the mistakes, manifesting the faults and admitting the mistakes is very, very important. So please understand, not noting these different defilements, unwholesome defilements, and wholesome factors like alobha, adosa, and moha, and its implications, those things, and how they express, and how to fix them. These intricacies, these ins and outs of these defilements and wholesome factors, and how to apply them, the practicality. That's what is the discussion today. The greedy people conceal their mistakes, but the non-greedy people, they just open up and they confess. Through adosa, one regards a manifest virtue as such and admits it, but the hateful efface it. With regard to the things, possessions, these greedy people, they just accept their mistake. The hateful people, with regard to their virtues, with regard to their qualities, they cover it. This is also one higher hypocrisy. Though they are not practicing Shila, they try to say boast themselves as they are very good people, very moral people. So that kind of boasting of the virtues which are not at all there, that is the quality of a hateful person. That ego inflation, they cover it. They cover their mistakes, their virtues, their vices, let me call it as vices, and they try to show off their virtues, though they are having vices. That is the nature of hateful people. But a non-hateful person, he what he does, he just admits whatever weaknesses he has, whatever say vices he has, whatever uh, negative qualities he has. So this is about adosa. Then next, amoha. Through amoha, one regards what really is as such and admits it, but the deluded regard what is false as true and true as false. He has that vipallasa like that. Because of the confusion, he considers the false as true, true as false, the person with the delusion. Whereas the person with the wisdom, he considers what is the real as real, unreal as unreal. He admits the real as real, the unreal as unreal. Truthfulness. Truthfulness is the quality of a wise person. He sticks on to the truth, the open truth, the bare truth. He will not try to hide anything, whether it is worldly things, worldly mistakes, materialistic things, he won't hide, or the virtues or the vices, he won't hide. And he is very, very like a mirror. What is true as true, he will recognize. What is untrue as untrue, he recognizes, and he opens it up, he expresses it. That is the nature of the person with amoha, the wisdom. So you can remember, truthfulness is the nature of wise person, because he knows truth cannot be uh, hidden for a longer time. Truth cannot be covered for a long time. At any time, one can know about the truth. That's why he tries to be as open as possible, authoritative, in a correct way. So that is about the amoha person. Through alobha, through this non-greed, sorrow will not arise from the separation of the beloved ones. For affection is the intrinsic nature of the greedy ones. When you are greedy, so your affection levels also will intensify towards people, towards different things. When you are loving somebody, you very strongly love them and you develop strong affection towards them. That's the nature of, again, greedy people. They can't let go. They can't give it up. Even the beloved ones. Though you are greedy with one particular, let us say with the food, but that very nature of greed, attachment, it will express in your relation also. If you like somebody, then you can't give up or you can't dissociate from him very easily. You develop tremendous attachment towards that person, and you develop a lot of sorrow when there is a need to separate from them. He has a lot of inability to bear that separation. He can't be able to bear the separation. Through adosa, there arises no sorrow from association with the unbeloved one. For these hateful people, disagreeableness is there, and they can't bear the association with the unbeloved one. The hateful people, they can't bear if they don't like, they are in association with them. But whereas a adosa person, a loving person, he doesn't have that kind of inability to bear the disagreeable person, or the person whom they don't like. It's okay for the adosa person, the loving person, the person with this loving kindness. He can tolerate, he can bear the presence, the association of the hateful person also, or the person whom they really don't like also. It's okay for them, but okayness will be there in case of adosa person. Through amoha, there arises no sorrow from not getting what one desires, for it is the intrinsic nature of the deluded to think, from where could it be got? The deluded person will be always wondering what to get from where, how to avoid, or what to get from where. In that way, he will be wondering, he will be completely deluded. Whereas a wise person, he will not be bothered about what to get, what not to get, what to keep away, what not to keep away. So these things he will not be bothered. That means he will be in the present moment. He will be involved in his actions. He will be thoroughly going through his actions and involved in his actions and responsibilities. worrying about the future, about too much planning, all these things will not be there. He is focused about your mission, his goal. That is the quality of a wise person or amoha person. Through alobha, there arises no sorrow from rebirth, because since the former is opposed to craving, that is, alobha is opposed to craving, and the rebirth is the root of craving. When you have craving, then you take the rebirth, especially in some uh, unpleasant realms, unpleasant areas, you take rebirth. If you have alobha, when you have non-attachment, then you are not bothered about rebirth. You are sure that you will get a better rebirth, and whatever happens, you just accept it. So alobha, that non-adhesiveness, non-attachment, non-adhesiveness. Because of the non-adhesiveness, non-attachment, you don't have any kind of problem with the rebirth, and you don't develop any kind of sorrow when you take rebirth. You just accept it. It's letting go will be there. In case of a person who is having this generous mind, because he will think that he will get another opportunity to serve, to give. The person who is having that giving mind, he is not bothered about, say, rebirth. He is not bothered about taking one more birth. But a greedy person, so because he has to struggle to get what he wants, again in rebirth, again if he gets rebirth, again that struggle has to start because of his attachment to the different things. Then he feels sorrow with the rebirth. Through adosa, there arises no sorrow from decay, since the intensely hateful become quickly aged. A person with that hateful mind, you just please see one of the beautiful things about understanding these three characteristics, three mental wholesome factors. A person with lot of hateful nature, he becomes, say, aged quickly. The decay and aging process will be fast in case of a person who is full of anger, hatred, ill will. Why? Because he's hating everything, so it will create some kind of say impact on the body also. But hateful thoughts, it will destroy the body. Anger is like fire, but I've heard anger is like fire. So fire destroys the body also. Fire destroys your longevity also. Person with this kind of hateful nature, he destroys his own body and he becomes old quickly, and that is what is called decay. Body gets decayed quickly. Through amoha, there is no sorrow from death. For a bewildered, death is painful. There is no such death for the undeluded. So for him, for amoha person, is not at all confused. Alopa person or adosa person may be having some confusion at the time of death. Though there is no sorrow for the alopa person, he may not be having any kind of sorrow when he takes rebirth, but there may be some confusion. But in case of a non-deluded person, the wise person, amoha person, so he will not be deluded at the time of birth. With complete consciousness, with complete awareness, he dies. With complete alertness, he dies. That is the nature of the non-deluded person, the amoha non-deluded person. There is harmonious living to the lay people through alobha. That's why I always emphasize on alobha, generous mind. If you have generous mind, there is a harmonious way of living, especially for the lay people. Lay people means the householders who are busy with so many activities. They have to interact with so many people. For such householders, for lay people, alobha is very, very, very important. If you are stingy, if you are miserly, if you are holding on to the things so tightly, then you can't lead a harmonious and peaceful life. You can't be peaceful by within yourself, and also you can't be harmonious with the people around you. So that is very, very important that you should know. You should have that nature of alobha, the generous mind, that non-stingy mind, non-miserly mind. So then only you can be harmonious with the people around you, and you can be peaceful with yourself. To the recluses, through amoha, through the recluses, through the for these say the non-householders who have given up the household life, like meditators, serious meditators, like monks, like sages, like ascetics who have given up this household life. For them, generally they develop some kind of say uh, anger, some kind of resentment in their mind. So for them, adosa they have to cultivate. Otherwise, their ascetic life will not be peaceful. They should develop adosa to a greater level. So that is congenial for these recluses, and also more importantly, they have to have wisdom. The wise people, the wisdom they should focus more and more. Both this adosa and also amoha they have to cultivate. Who? The people who have given up the worldly life. And adosa is required for householders also. That's what they are saying here. So both aloba and adosa is required for householders, and for recluses, adosa and amoha, the non-greed and non-hatred are required for the householders. Non-hatred and non-delusion is required for recluses because they have given up. They don't have greed. Generally, the monks and the recluses, they don't have much greed. Of course, nowadays, even some recluses, they are developing a lot of greed. But in general, the recluses, they have given up the world. That's why they are recluses. So they don't have any greed, but they have to work on non-hatred and non-delusion. They have to work on their wisdom. They have to work on how to give up their anger. But whereas the householders, they have to work on how to develop generous mind, how to develop loving kindness or compassionate mind. To Aloba, there is no rebirth in the plane of petas, since beings are generally born amongst petas through craving. Petas means like the ghosts, hungry ghosts, spirits. There is one plane of existence called ghosts or hungry ghosts or spirits. Through a lot of craving and attachment, people after death, they take birth in that plane of existence. They become petas, they become hungry ghosts or spirits, because they are not so they're not satiated by these sensual things, hunger, thirst, and other sensual things they have. So they take rebirth as petas, the people who are having loba. If you don't have loba, if you have the generous mind, you don't take rebirth in the plane of petas, plane of hungry ghosts. That's why generous mind is important. So even in Punyanamodana also, we help you to develop that generous mind. We ask you to give dana so that you will become free from that attachment or that stinginess. And also your ancestors in whose name you are giving, they also become happy that my successors or my lineage, they are becoming free from that greediness. And by looking at that, their minds also get induced to come out of that greed. They also get purified. So in that way, you are inducing that non-greediness, that generous mind by conducting this Punyanamodana programs. You will, it's good for you and good for your deceased ancestors also, because both of you can escape from this Peta world or this ghost world, hungry ghost world, where the characteristic of this hungry ghost is craving, lot of attachment, lot of craving for sensual things. So you can be free from that when you have this aloba mind. Through adosa, there is no rebirth in the hellish realms. If you are free from this dvesha or this hatefulness, this hatred, then you don't take rebirth in the hells. The hells, a lot of burning. So that means like your mind is full of anger and burning. So with such a mind, if you die, the person who is having a lot of hateful mind, if he dies with such a mind, then he will take rebirth in the hells because they're also burning. Inevitable burning is there. So when you're free from this burning of hate, then you don't take rebirth in the hells. You will be free from this hells when you free your mind from this dosa, cultivate this non-hatred. Through amoha, there is no rebirth in the animal plane. Animals are deluded. Animals are confused. They don't have clarity of what is what. They don't have wisdom. They don't have skillfulness of, deciding what is right, what is good, what is beneficial, and what is not good, what is not beneficial. That they can't decide. Animals are deluded. They are full of delusion. So if you don't develop wisdom, if you don't develop this non-delusion, this wisdom, then there is a higher possibility of you to become an animal in the next life. Because that non-delusion will protect you from falling into the animal life. But if you keep that delusion, the same mind after death will select an animal body, because animal body is more congenial for a deluded mind. So if you want to come out of this animal life, the next birth, you have to develop wisdom or non-delusion. Through alobha, extreme indulgence in sensual pleasures is inhibited. If you have alobha, this generous mind, non-greedy mind, then you don't indulge too much in the sensual pleasures. That's how the world is now full of this too much indulgence in the sensual pleasures. So that's why one will. That is because of greed. When the greed is increasing in the world, then indulging in the sensual pleasures becomes too much. Through adosa, that of self-mortification. You see, when you have this dosa, this hateful mind, then you harm yourself. Then you start self-hate. You start hating yourself. You harm your body, hating your body also. You torture your body. Self-mortification you start. You become oversimplified. In the name of simplification, you torture your body. That's what you might have observed. Many ascetics also, in the name of too much fasting for 2 days, 3 days, and torturing the body 10 days, 15 days, 20 days, and even struggling hot sun in too much cold, exposing their body to extremes. That is again the nature of the people with lot of hateful mind that leads to hatefulness, and that is not actually congenial for your mental development. Through amoha, there is training according to the middle path. A person who is wise, he avoids extreme. He will not mortify his body, will not torture his body. At the same time, he will not indulge in the sensual things, the bodily things, the sensual pleasures. He will not indulge too much. He will avoid the extremes of soul-centeredness or the body-centeredness. He will work on the mind. He will strike the balance. He will take up the middle path. That is the quality of amoha person, non-deluded person. That is the quality. Alobha is conducive to health. You please see. So if you are having this alobha, this generous mind, it is conducive. Because of too much attachment and greed only, you are again putting a lot of stress on the internal organs, and you end up in sicknesses, lot of sickness. Lot of greed leads to a lot of sickness. Ragadi roga. You might have heard of one statement. Ragadi roga. What does it mean? Too much passions, too much attachment, too much greed leads to roga, diseases. So, alobha, the generous mind, the mind free from greed, the non-greedy mind, it is conducive to health, because that person does not resort what is attractive but suitable. A non-greedy person, he will not simply keep on eating what is very tasty, what is very attractive. He's not indulging in that. He looks into suitability, or whether this is suitable, that kind of food he takes. In that way, a non-greedy person, he will not indulge too much in the essential things. That's why he remains healthy. He will be healthy. Advasa is conducive to youthfulness. If you have mind full of loving kindness, no hatred, no anger, then you look youthful. You look young and attractive and youthful. Because the angry person, because he is being burnt by the fire of anger, which causes wrinkles and gray hair. A hateful person, because of this fire of anger, so he develops wrinkles, he develops gray hair, and that is why. So he looks a non-hateful person, a non-hated person. He looks youthful. Amoha is conducive to longevity of life. He will live long. The person with wisdom, because he is very, very discriminative. What to do, what not to do, what to take, what not to take. That kind of discrimination will make him to live long. So that is what is the difference between alobha, adosa, and amoha with regard to health, with regard to youthfulness, with regard to longevity, living for a living long, leading a long life. Alobha is conducive to acquisition of wealth. You please see here one more important. So with this, I think we can conclude. One more difference is there. One more aspect is there. Alobha is conducive to acquisition of wealth. Not only health, it is conducive to acquisition of wealth also. You will get health because you select only suitable things, and also alobha leads to acquisition of wealth. By generosity, wealth is obtained. When you are generous, when you give, then only you will get. So a generous person, definitely he will become a wealthy person. A stingy person, he will definitely become a poor person. Because the more you hold on to, the more you will lose. The more you give, the more you get. That's why a alobha person will become a wealthy person. A non-greedy person, a generous person becomes a wealthy person. Please understand this. Adosa is conducive to the acquisition of friends. A person who is having that loving kindness, he will get more friends because there is no anger or irritation or resentment towards people, so he will get more friends. Or by loving kindness, friends are one and they are not lost. Amoha person, so of course he will not. He will balance his health, wealth, friends, everything. He will balance, and in that art of balancing, what is the benefit for this amoha person, the non-deluded person or the wise person? It is conducive to personal achievements. He will have focus, he will have goals, he will have mission in his life, he will have responsibilities, and he will achieve the goals with properly balancing the friends and the wealth, everything he will balance, and he will focus on the goals and he will achieve the goals. For his personal achievements, amoha, wisdom, skillful discretion is very, very suitable, essential. For this amoha person, doing only what is beneficial to himself regulates his own self. He is very, very balancing, and he avoids what is harmful and he works on his goals, and that's how he achieves. Will not fall into any kind of extremes. Alobha is conducive to divine life, Adosa is conducive to Brahma life, and Amoha is conducive to Aryan life. You see, this is one more important point. If you are non-greedy, then you will definitely lead your life like a divine person. Even after death, you will take the higher life of a divine being. You will avoid the Peta life, the hungry ghost life. You will enter into the divine life because you are generous. The divine beings are generous. They are not greedy. They are not possessive. They are good in giving. They are good in serving. So even after death also, so they have possibilities of getting the divine life. Adosa is conducive to Brahma lives. Adosa, when you give up your anger and hatred and your mind becomes so full of loving kindness. The Brahma beings, their minds are full of loving kindness. Brahma Viharas. That's why they're called Brahma Viharas. Metta, Karuna. So Brahma's mind completely suffused with this loving kindness, compassion. So you take rebirth in that Brahma realms or Brahma planes when your mind is full of this loving kindness, when there is no hatred in your mind. So non-hateful people, the Adosa mind is conducive to Brahma life. Amoha to the Aryan life. Non-deluded people, so they are still superior in their mind. So they are very discriminative, very in a balanced way they lead their life. So such people, the people with wisdom, people with no moha. So they lead an Aryan life. Aryan life. Who is an Arya? Arya is the one who will definitely become liberated. Who will become uh, an Arhant or a Swatapanna or Sagalagami, Anagami. That means who has seen the Nibbana. A balanced mind only can see the Nibbana, can see the liberation. So such a balanced mind, because of balance in the mind, the people with amoha, the people with wisdom, they lead a balanced Aryan life. Definitely, they will get the ultimate freedom, Nibbana. They always live in that Nibbana. They always have that glimpse of Nibbana that supports them, that backs up them, and they lead that balanced life. So this amoha, this non-delusion is conducive to Aryan life, the life which can see the liberation. That kind of life is Aryan life. So amoha people, they lead that Aryan life. Alobha people have the insight into impermanence. They can see anicca, everything is changing. That's why they don't get attached to anything. People with this generous mind, that's why they are generous. They don't get attached to anything. So that is the nature of Alobha people, because they have that insight into impermanence, anicca. They see everything is changing, everything is fleeting. So there is no need to get attached, no need to greed for something. That is the nature of Alobha people. Adosa people, they have the insight into dukkha, second universal characteristic, anicca, dukkha. They see everything is suffering. Everything is, there is intricate suffering in everything. That's why they are compassionate to everything. So if somebody, they don't hate anybody because he is also suffering. This person is also suffering, that person is also suffering. Automatically, if you see suffering in others, suffering in yourself, you will be compassionate to them. You will not hate them. So the person with the adosa, without any hatefulness, he sees suffering in everything. That's why he becomes more compassionate to everyone. Amoha is, there is insight into soullessness, anatta. A wise person, he will see there is nothing that is can be that I can hold on to as I-ness and minus, my soul, my personality, my thing. There is nothing like that. So that kind of everything is empty. That emptiness one can see a person with wisdom. Nothingness one can see. That's why he can lead the life of an Arya, Aryan life. Aryans can see emptiness in everything. The shunyata, the nothingness in everything they can see. So that's why they can lead an Aryan life, the people with wisdom. So there is no need to get attached, there is no need to get detached. They lead very balanced life, working on their goals. So that is what is a undiluted person, a skillful person. We will see anatta. Anatta means that there is nothing like soul. So everything is empty. That's what a wise person, a amoha person will see. Yes, I think this much is enough. So these are the different, say, ways of understanding the qualities, the nature of this alobha, adosa, and amoha person. So in that way, if you understand the beautiful, positive, wholesome factors, alobha, adosa, amoha, then you can fix your lobha, dosa, and moha. You can understand your lobha, dosa, and moha, and you will be watchful. And sometimes the lobha arises. No, this is This leads to the Peta world. This leads to the loss of wealth and loss of health. So all these things will come to your mind, and you don't stick on to that Lobha thought process, the Lobha thoughts. You will just substitute with Alobha thoughts, the generous thoughts. How best I can give. Always wanting mind is the Lobha mind. So because of that, these are different problems of this Lobha mind. I will not become harmonious with the people around me. I will not be healthy. I will not be wealthy. It will lead to Peta world. So all these things, if they come in your mind, then you give up that attachment, that lobha, that greed. In the same way, dosa through others, through dosa mind, through hateful mind, so I will become aged quickly. I will develop a lot of health issues also. Then I will develop, I will fall into hellish realms also. In that way, if you think, if you realize, then you develop loving kindness. In the loving kindness, there are so many benefits. Let me work on loving kindness. Let me be compassionate to everyone. Everybody is suffering. When everybody is suffering, why should I hate anybody? So that kind of understanding will come. You develop more loving kindness instead of more hatefulness, anger. Hmm. In the same way, when your mind is completely deluded, then it will lead to animal life. It leads to I can't achieve my goals and my aims in the life. I can't achieve. So I can't see the soullessness. I can't see emptiness. I get stuck into the repeated births and deaths. So in that way, if you develop amoha, wisdom, then slowly, you can come out of your laziness. Let me not be lazy. Let me work on my goal. Let me be energetic. Let me be enthusiastic. That kind of motivation you will get when you know these differences between moha and amoha, the difference between greed and non-greed. That way, so you develop more insights. That is the idea of discussing these three things today. Quick question, just one or two questions we will see, and then we'll conclude.
Namaste, Bantaji. If
Yes,
anyone
Rohit.
have questions, they can mention in YouTube chat, Bantaji. I wanted to.
Yeah, if you have some question, you can mention in the YouTube chat. Rohit will read out those questions, then I can answer. Many of you have joined this YouTube live today, I think. So you can't directly ask questions. You can just send it in the chat box. You can ask questions on behalf of you. Okay, if you don't have any questions, we'll conclude with one small chanting. It's like Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Bhavatu sabba mangalang rakkantu sabba devata. Sabba buddhanubhavena, sabba dhammanubhavena, sabba sanghanubhavena, sada sotti bhavantu te. Sukhi bhaveyang niddukho, ahang nitya ahang viya, ida cha me sukhi hontu, majjata chatavedino, imam hi gammante dhamme, satta hontu sukhi sada, tato paranchara jesu, chakkavale sujantano. Sadhu, 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 sukhi hontu.
Thank you, Bantaji.